Hello and welcome to Services Reporter's Architect Designer of the Week. Our architect this week is one of the founding members and partner of Design Forum International, New Delhi. The seed for Design Forum International was sown by three architects, Anand Sharma, Anuj Tabatia, and Goonmeet Singh Chauhan, all from IIT Kharagpur, in the year 1995. It was then called Tabatia, Chauhan, and Sharma Architects, later rechristened as Design Forum International in the year 2003. With projects spanning across 17 states and a vibrant team of over 100 professionals, today Design Forum International, or DFI as it is called, has a portfolio of 11 million square feet of mixed use and retail, 60 million square feet of group housing, 3,000 acres of master planning, and 8.5 million square feet of office and IT parks. DLF, Airports Authority of India, Ansals, Omex, NBCC, Purvankara, JP, Eldeco are some of the among the list of esteemed clients of Design Forum International. Some of the projects also include the new courts complex of the Delhi High Court, Guwahati International Airport, Select Citywalk, New Delhi's GD Goenka Public School, Michael Schumacher, World Tower Gurgaon, and many more. As you know, every week Surfaces Reporter comes up with a story and work of one architect or designer. Today we have architect Goonmeet Singh Chauhan, one of the founding partners of DFI. He's an architect, urbanist, futurist, and author of Invertonomics. Surfaces Reporter did cover this book in one of our headlines of the week. Invertonomics is about 8 ideas to transform India. He has a strong urge to change what is not right. He says desirable social change can be brought about by effective use of technology and involvement of the private sector, while at the same time generate revenues for the government. Well, his upcoming book, Betterment of Civic Life, is a response to that change. Today, Madhurima Chowdhury, executive editor of Surfaces Reporter, is in conversation with architect Goonmeet Singh Chauhan. There is definitely a lot of inspiration for the architects who wish to be agents of change and contribute to the society. Get to know the story and initiatives by Goonmeet Singh Chauhan only on Surfaces Reporter magazine. First of all, tell us a little bit about your brief journey as an architect.
My journey to becoming an architect began by accident, really. And while I think there was divine hand in it, it wasn't a conscious choice. And I was still unsure whether I wanted to be an architect after sort of 2 years of studying it. And when I had to do a renovation assignment in my own house, and my mom felt that after 2 years I should be able to handle it. And there was so much learning in that process, and the joy of seeing it transform in front of your own eyes. That is when I really felt in love with the power of transformation and how one can actually voice one's ideas and see them physically. From that day on, whether it was designing a Unitarian shrine, I remember that was the first project we got when I came back after vacation, and researching on it and what it would be to design a shrine for all faiths, to the form. I felt architecture was just one beautiful tool to translate thoughts into reality. And then while we were still studying with three partners, we started transforming restaurants within the campus that were not doing well. So something as small as one restaurant having a small counter with too many people crowding, and we said, why don't you replace this with a 30-foot long counter and separate your cash and delivery? And this is early 90s, before India had seen fast food. chains operate. And we found that that guy started to do well. We did family restaurants with chefs in the open and bonfires. And so we also tasted that architecture can actually influence businesses and the power to transform the whole existence. I mean, how things thrive. Very often we look at architecture as static building, but it's actually more, it's a container for life to thrive. So if the architect can understand eventually what is going to happen in it as a living organism that building supports so much, that is when real sort of values added by an architect. And then because we had tasted these early sort of successes, we came out and the three of us started this practice 7 days out of our convocation. And there were initial struggles getting people to trust you with their projects, mostly residential projects to begin with, and renovations. And then when we sort of were able to deliver, I felt we brought in a certain process orientation to the delivery in a very disorganized industry. We were able to do in the beginning 20 houses at a time to maybe even 100 houses at one point. So it was a very well-oiled, process-driven organization. And at that time, I thought our style of architecture was still quite eclectic. And as you grew, as you traveled, as you read more, you sort of worked towards your own style. And then we did a lot of architectural design competitions. And initially, we thought it was all rigged, and but we did taste success. So we got a project like Select Citywalk in 2003, part of a design competition. And also the real estate environment and the industry was growing. And therefore we sort of grew with it. And I think our growth was fueled purely by winning competitions and then delivering. And then I remember beginning to travel because we are homegrown Indian Army officer kids. Internet wasn't so popular or available in our time, so the exposures were very limited to the books that we got to read. So travel was something that really allowed me to see works of other masters and evaluate and think. And I think sometime around 2010, I felt that I enjoy public architecture more than doing homes for individual families. Although I still do that off and on, but I really enjoy doing public architecture, like institutions. And we've every 2 years added one or two typologies to our practice. So we went from doing only homes to doing retail, to doing condominium complexes, to doing townships. And then we added educational institutions, universities. Of late, we've added airports, courts, district courts, railway stations. And very recently now we've added road redesign to our portfolio, and also walkability projects of city infrastructure where we're trying to improve the ability for people to cycle and walk in their cities. So that has been the journey of evolution. Quite a humble journey, but enjoying it.
If you would like to tell me a little bit about your experience designing the Select City Walk.
Select City Walk is a pioneering project in many ways. For one, it was the largest real estate development in those days. And client was very keen, although they were not real estate developers themselves, that they should establish a new benchmark and create a successful retail center that would become the most preferred destination for people to come and shop. So the definition was very clear right from the beginning of the management that they wanted it to be the most preferred shopping center. So even before we got to designing, we actually researched the most successful shopping centers in India, and there were few in those days. And then we went to Singapore, we went to Malaysia, we went to Jakarta, to Dubai, and we sort of did our research for almost a year, for almost a month and a half, as to what goes into making a successful shopping center. And even before that, the selection of the architect, they had shortlisted 9 architects, and we were not even on the list. Somehow we managed to smuggle ourselves into that list, and we were given 1 week to present. And while most of our competition had brought their credentials to show, we had worked, I think, 72 hours or more at a stretch to actually propose a design with a walkthrough. And in those days, walkthroughs were still new. And to actually showcase to them how we can create a haven for women, because we felt that women contribute maximum to shopping. And in terms of convenience of parking, safety, ease of visibility within the movements, we are able to see signages across floors. So we were able to capture the whole sort of success formula based on case studies that we were able to do in those 10 days. And we were doing 2 or 3 shopping centers in Gurgaon at that time, which were far smaller. Then we were shortlisted, and 2 architects were shortlisted, and both Indian firms. And we were told that they wanted an international partner to be brought on board because we were too nascent, especially us. The other firm was much bigger. We teamed up with DP Architects and Meinhardt Corporation for engineering and DP Architects for design. And that is how a collaborative team was created about a month and a half into the project. Then began the whole research process to identify what would it take to deliver a successful project. And I also realized, working with DP, working with Meinhardt, what it meant to collaborate. I think architects tend to be very egoistic, and great retail centers are not designed in isolation. By architects, you need to be in conversation with retail specialists. You need to really take on the concerns of the retailers and the shoppers. And out of that would emerge the first sort of blueprint. And then that gets modified many number of times before you are actually able to produce the final designs. And in this, we had a team of almost 9 designers, including landscape architects who played a very vital role in creating a beautiful plaza and a more outdoorsy shopping experience, including people who designed the skylight, because we felt we wanted the soft sunlight to come into the shopping center. So while it was a air-conditioned space, it held the lightness of an outdoor space. And many people come and say that we feel de-stressed while shopping there. We feel elevated when we shop there. What is it? And I think the fact that you can see the sky from within in many places, that you can see greenery, the fact that the quality of light inside is so beautiful, these are intangibles, which actually affect the appeal. Of course, the choice of brands and providing for the shopping, for the retailers, which is not something that an architect does, which is something that the management of the shopping center did. And the management, including their retailing team, were exceptional.